Former American President Jimmy Carter has passed away at the age of 100. While there may be widespread agreement that his presidency ranks among the most disappointing in modern American history, there is also near universal recognition that he was one of the greatest Americans to have ever lived. His post-presidency contributions to citizenship, volunteerism, and leading by example, especially through his work with Habitat for Humanity, remain unmatched.
Hey there, music lovers! If you're into the best country vibes and all things music, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell.
A peanut farmer from Georgia with a southern drawl, Carter had all the trappings of a country fan. He counted many country legends as personal friends, among them Johnny Cash. The interesting side note to that is that, through Cash's wife, June Carter, Jimmy Carter was related to the Carter family, generally considered to be country music's first family. It takes tracing through several bloodlines to find it, but the relationship is there. Jimmy Carter was also good friends with Jimmy Buffett and Greg Allman of the Allman Brothers. He knew well the power of music to change the world, and he felt that it might have more power than politics. Carter said once of his friend Bob Dylan that Bob probably had more influence on the world than he did. Such a statement is quite humbling for a former president of the United States. Carter also had a famous friendship with Willie Nelson, connected to one of Willie's most famous stories, how he smoked marijuana on the rooftop of the White House. The story has become the stuff of legend, further sealing Willie's position as one of America's most iconic cannabis lovers. The not-so-well-known side of this story, however, is cautionary. The time Willie was smoking his dope on top of the White House, he was wearing a cast on his foot. Curiously enough, marijuana use was related to the incident that led to his injury. Sitting on the roof of the White House in Washington, D.C., late at night with a beer in one hand and a fat Austin torpedo in the other, I drifted into a reflective mood, Willie Nelson recalls in his autobiography. Nobody from the Secret Service was watching us, or if they were, it was with the intention of keeping us out of trouble rather than getting us into it. Willie wasn't alone that night. He had an unnamed accomplice with him, though he notes, "It couldn't do him any good to use his name, except I should say President Carter knew nothing about this and would not have condoned it." There's a lot behind this memorable moment, though a lesser-known story. Just days prior to the planned trip and performance at the White House, Willie had been in the Bahamas with the legendary country songwriter Hank Cochran. The two finished up a week-long tour together and decided to take in some fishing time on the islands. Packing, he had inadvertently left a small bag of weed in the pocket of a pair of jeans he packed into the suitcase. Another aspect of Willie's account that goes seldom discussed is his candid reflection on marijuana in his autobiography. While Willie has been a lifelong advocate for the drug, he also came to realize and say so that it's not for everybody, and for some people it can be downright injurious. I think marijuana should be recognized for what it is, a medicine, an herb that grows in the ground. If you need it, use it. But people who smoke it and get real paranoid don't need it. People who smoke it and become brain dead, it's the wrong medicine for them. For me, smoking marijuana is like taking a couple of Valium for someone else. I have a tremendous amount of natural energy, and I need to take the edge off, he explains. Willie also adds, "There's been a lot of talk about marijuana being harmless, but I think it's a lot more dangerous to the lungs than dope smokers realize, especially with the stronger strains that are around these days. Every year, it seems to get a little stronger. The wise choice is not to abuse it." It's worth pointing out that Willie Nelson said this back in 1988. By 2024, many of the strains of marijuana people use have become almost like an entirely different plant. What makes Willie Nelson's legacy so great is what makes Jimmy Carter's. Both men were peacemakers, used restraint, set an example, and were awarded far beyond their respective fields for it. This respect is because both men were honorable and candid. Jimmy Carter and Rosalind remind me of the people I grew up with in Abbott, Texas, Willie shares. They're so down-to-earth and kind that they were too good to be politicians. To be a politician, you have to lie a lot, and I don't think the Carters were capable of lying anywhere near as much as their high position demanded. As Willie points out, maybe Jimmy Carter's mediocre presidency was actually, in retrospect, the best reflection of his truly high character.